Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special podcast on AI in manufacturing. Factories once competed on machinery, but today they compete on data, speed, and intelligence. Is AI real? Is AI really going to hit the ground on the manufacturing and the shop floor? So today we have a special guest with us who comes with around 25 plus years of experience in operations, manufacturing excellence, supply chain, and business transformation. She is a strategic business leader. She was awarded as Outstanding Women in Business in 2022 and honored as Pros to Know 2023 by supply and demand executives. So let us demystify the truth of AI in manufacturing and on the shop floor. So let's welcome Sudha. Welcome, Sudha.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and
Very excited to be here.
Yeah, same here. And I think all the old memories of 99, 2003 just comes back because I was at first year and you were in the final year. So thank you so much for joining us. Okay, so I think in this podcast, what we would like to demystify is we are an AI company, Converge AI, and we see a lot of buzzwords around happening in manufacturing and smart factories, AI-enabled factories, and all that. So we thought that why not hear it from you that what is it actually happening, right? So to start with, how have been your 25 years and how do you see this transformation evolving?
That's a great question. In the past 25 years, I've seen changes come through, and they have typically come in waves, and each wave solved a different problem. Like in the early 2000s, right? Everybody was all about, hey, everything is paper-based. We need to get into ERP, MES. So that was the transformation during that time.
Yeah.
So it was basically lack of data or data that was in paper that need to be digitized. Then came the next wave of automation, where can we automate this physical repetitive work to make things easier for us? Then you had robots. And cobots is more recent, but robots is how it started. After that, we went into IoT and connected systems, where people were like, well, we have the data, but they're not connected yet. Yeah. So it went from lack of data to a lot of disconnected data. Yeah. So that was the IoT phase. With IoT phase, people were like, okay, can I have a dashboard? Can I have analytics? Can I see what's going on? So you have dashboards, digital twins that actually told you the state of your current operational or manufacturing systems.
Correct.
And now we are into the AI era, right?
Yes.
So the fundamental difference or the massive shift that I see was the previous waves they augmented a physical constraint where we wanted to automate a physical effort, right? But today, I think AI is actually augmenting, the cognitive piece of the puzzle, where we are saying, hey, now I know what the data is. I know that these are connected. This is what the dashboard tells me today. But AI is more solutions oriented. It tells you, okay, what are my, I see the dashboard, and I see this problem. How am I going to solve this problem? It helps the human being today, gives recommendations, gives suggestions on how to solve a problem. So that's, I see a shift. But interestingly, in the past 25 years, there's one thing I've seen. It's never been about just the technology piece of it. It's been about the operational discipline, your transformation strategy, most importantly, your change management. And that's how I've seen things evolve in the past 25 years.
Oh, perfect. I think that sets up how we want to take this podcast forward. Like you said, the various aspects. So the one thing which is in everybody's mind right now, and specifically on the manufacturing and domain side of thing is my job safe? Right? Is AI going to take my job? Now you have been so closely watching the shop floor. You have been in the strategy room, you are talking to the business leaders. What is your take on, is AI going to take the job or is it going to augment?
Well, that's a very loaded question. This is a question we've been asking, I think, for many decades, right? Is computer going to take away my job, right? Is the internet going to take away my job? Is this robot that you've installed on the floor going to take away my job? And now it's AI. So the question remains the same, but the answers are slightly different.
Yeah.
Do I think AI is going to take away jobs? I would say AI is going to transform the way we look at, how we do things today. So the nature of the job today may look different, but it's going to create more jobs. It's going to create different jobs. It's going to create jobs that don't exist today. But the way I see AI specifically in manufacturing today, I see that as more of a assistant or an augmentation of what the personnel or the people on the floor do today. Let me give you an example, right?
Yeah.
So you can use, let's take a very simple example. Factories have different shifts. So there's a shift handover.
Yeah.
And that typically, even today, you'd be surprised, it's actually done manually. So there are people who'll actually type on their computer, or they'll type on their notepad, and sometimes they'll write it down and they'll hand it to the next shift.
The entire 8 hours.
The entire 8 hours of work.
Okay.
That takes about roughly 45 minutes to an hour every day per shift, per supervisor on the floor to complete. Now, can AI help with this? Sure. Will AI take away the supervisor job? No, it wouldn't, because what the supervisors can do is they can have this AI listening tool on the floor that captures all the information in the past 8 hours. I mean, yes, I'm oversimplifying this, but it can capture the information. It could go through the standard operating procedures, your MRBs, your quality issues that happen, and it can provide a summarized report of, hey, this is what happened in these 8 hours. Here you go, next shift.
Yeah.
Go ahead and run with the problem, right? To me, AI is enhancing and taking away the tedious work that typically a supervisor would do before the shift handover. In this case, is AI taking away the job? No, I don't think so. It's actually taking away the noise or the tedious work that personnel do today, and leaving room for them to do more complex tasks that they would actually like to do. So I see AI not taking away jobs, but are jobs going to transform, and is it going to look a little different than what it looks today? Yes, absolutely. But the same can be said of computers, right? When we transform from typewriters to computers, and then when the internet boom happened, it transformed the way jobs looked. So.
Yeah, and this is a great example, because many of our listeners would be interested in knowing this, because this shifts which we have, right? 3 shifts, and so this, and now with this whole new LLMs coming up, which are voice enabled, text enabled. Right now, everything is written down on papers. Maybe everything can also get collected, right? That maybe the manager might see it that, okay, in last 15 days, what are the key things which have always come up while we do the shifts, right? Yeah. So even we can move to further value addition in the shifts, right? With this whole AI thing, whereas the job has not gone, right?
Right. So I think one of the things in the factory today, even today, right? We typically, what the dashboards say is, like, you have an analytics dashboard. It'll tell you, this is what happened and this is the data.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really tell you, what am I going to do about it?
Yeah.
And it typically is more reactive than proactive.
Yeah.
So what AI can do is, for example, let's say I am injection molding a part on the injection molding machine. Now it has certain sensors, temperature, pressure controls in order to produce a good part. Today, if we have a bad part that comes out, we do a root cause analysis and we say, okay, this is probably why this happened, or I got a bad product. How can AI help? AI can look, if you have an AI layer on top of the sensors or the settings of an injection molding machine, it can tell you, hey, in the past 15 days, I have seen this temperature and pressure vary in a certain way, and it has actually given you a bad part. So before a bad part comes out, the AI tool can say, your likelihood of getting a bad part in this shift is very high, because I'm seeing the same patterns that I saw over the past 15 days. Right. So it's actually telling you that, hey, before the scrap is produced, it's actually telling you that the scrap will be produced.
And right now it is only analytics, right? Right now you don't have this information.
Yeah, this is all reactive. But the AI can look at your records from the past 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It can look at all your data. It can look at your data from your MES system, the machine itself, your sensors, and your scrap that was produced. And it can say, I think you're going to produce more scrap because, I see the same pattern repeat. So you can stop the machine instead of producing 20 more scrap parts. You can actually analyze. So that's how AI really enhances how we manufacture today.
And when we talk about this, do you think that there has to be a skill which needs to be learned both by people who are working on the shop floor and the leaders, because now we are saying that this transformation is going to happen. So now just taking an example of this shop floor operator. So do you think anything they need to learn, or it would be taken care by the change management or the training part of the things?
Well, in my 25 years of being in manufacturing and operations in the business, I've seen one thing. It's about 40 to 50% about the technology change itself, and the rest of it is your operational discipline, transformation, and most importantly, change management.
Wow.
So, just giving your employees the tools and saying, "Hey, go run with it. I'm going to give you a training," is really not going to give you the results that you're looking for. I think your employees first need to be very comfortable with the change. They need to understand the why of it. Why am I making the change? Second, how is it going to impact me? Because as humans, we are fundamentally deep down averse to change, all of us. And so explaining the why and what is in it for me, I think that those are the key questions as a leader I would answer first. Getting your employees in the comfort zone where you would say, go ahead, try these tools, try these basic tools, see how it helps you. Giving them an option of out is something that I've seen works really well. And I can give you an example, right?
Yeah.
So this was not related to AI, but related to automation. In one of the companies I was in, we had to put in cobots.
What are cobots for our...
They're collaborative robots. While robots are typically, they do a very high precision task, cobots can be moved between machines and they work with you like they're your constant companion. Now, one of the things about cobots are they're very delicate. They're not as robust as robots. And we had to implement this in a third shift with very minimal training with operators who are not familiar with it. So one of the things that we did...
And third shift is
the midnight shift.
Okay.
So how do we go about it? We had to get buy-in from our team. And so we had a cobot naming competition where we got our operators really excited about the cobot, where each of the operators was assigned a cobot and they got to name the cobot and treat them like their constant companion. We also told them, hey, you have this for 2 weeks. For some reason you feel that this is not helping you, why don't we take it back? So the employees felt like they had a choice in the matter, and they had the time to experiment and make sure that it really was helping them with their jobs. So after a week, we go back to them and say, hey, can we take the bot back? And the answer was, no, this is my friend, you cannot take my friend away. And they started referring to the bot like it was a person with their names and everything. I think that change, transformation, and the ability to get your employees comfortable with what's coming in played a very important role in the adoption of the bots. So similarly with AI, I think to answer your question, giving them the tools to say, okay, go experiment, see how this is going to work. And then giving them a clear why and how it's going to help them and the impact goes a long way in establishing the acceptance of the AI tool.
Yeah, I think let me congratulate. I have never seen such an innovative way of change management, because all this change management are more about PPTs and trainings. I think naming the cobots and making them feel personal, I think that was excellent. And like you said, one very important thing that any transformations, you have seen so many automation, digital transformation, then IoT. What do you think that the technical capabilities plus leadership, you said 40% is is technical and 60% is leadership. Can you elaborate on this, that in real life, how does it look like, right? So procurement has bought some licenses, say for AI, and we have decided that, okay, let's get these things rolling off on the shop floor. But then what does this 60% will constitute to, like managers or leaders, or the example which you gave, right? The bot thing, a little bit more on that.
Right. So one of the things that I observe is that every company or every organization wants to get on the AI bandwagon and journey, right?
Yeah.
And that rightfully so, because AI is just becoming such a critical path that every company wants to be on that journey. What would really help the organizations when they get on this journey is first, starting small. I'm a big proponent of not approaching anything big bang.
Yeah.
Take a very, very small use case, a very small business case. Identify the benefit, explain the why, show progress, because nothing succeeds like success.
Yeah.
When you see that, hey, I'm actually making progress in this area, there are other people observing, and now they want to get on that journey with you. So from my perspective, I think when I say 40%, the tool is just 40%. Yes, you can implement a tool, or you can say, this is the tool you're going to use, this is the training. But will it go a long way? Probably not. I think identifying a very small area, least disruptive, showing progress, getting the team familiarized with the concept, the process, the benefit. It goes a long way, because now these people become your ambassadors for change. Like, change management is never a one-person deal.
Yeah.
Right? You need ambassadors of change. You need people in the organization and the team who vouch for that change and say, hey, I implemented this on my project, and guess what? It's really helped me. You should go try it. That's a lot more powerful than a leader sitting on top saying, thou shalt do that.
Yeah.
And that's what I've observed in not just the AI journey, but in most of the transformations that I've been a part of.
Okay, and if there is a manufacturing unit which wants to start their AI journey, right? While we may not get into the technical details, but as a leader of that manufacturing facility, what would you suggest, for them to look at? Because while at Converge AI, we have been doing a lot of use cases, but the most difficult part is adoption.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we feel that there is some gap, because we work more with IT part of the organization, and then there is this business which is actually going to use the thing. But there is always that friction that this use case which you have gotten is, maybe with AI it is like 85% accuracy, so it's not going to help me and all that. So as a business leader, if I have got a budget and there is a leadership which is asking me that you need to improve on productivity, efficiency, reduce costs with the help of AI, so how do I start with, like you said, get the smallest use case, and but some step by step, maybe 3-4 steps which you have done in your journey, that any transformation with people, process, and technology, right? Because these 3 things need to be in shape. So any thoughts?
Yeah, I would say as a leader, you lead by example.
Okay.
So you cannot say, hey, I'm not going to use AI in my day-to-day, but I'm going to expect you to do it.
Yeah.
So I think it starts with that mindset.
Yeah.
Where you're saying, okay, hey, so this is how I have achieved it, where I said, okay, you know what? I have all these spreadsheets. I have like 6-7 spreadsheets. I'm going to use this AI engine to help me consolidate the spreadsheets, and it's actually going to, give me some top 5-6 bullets that I need to focus on for my business. Now, setting that example using AI, and then sharing it with the team, saying, hey, this is how AI has helped me, make good decisions for the business. And I see that, and then I focus on, like, for example, every manufacturing facility focuses on a couple of metrics.
Yeah.
On-time delivery,
Yeah.
To your customer, making sure that your scrap and rework is low,
Yeah.
Your OEE, your equipment effectiveness. So these are some of the things that every manufacturing facility in the globe focuses on. So these are important. These are important for the people who are working on the floor. So I picked, on-time shipments because this is something that's important
Most
for the
critical.
manufacturing
Yeah.
facility as well as for the
Same.
customer,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we, implementing an AI layer over, some of our, MES and ERP systems that consistently exist.
Yeah.
Where, like an example, I can give you an example. So typically when there's a 15-minute or a half an hour downtime, a lot of tasks get pushed away.
Yeah.
And today your dashboard will tell you, hey, all of these tasks are late because the machine went down.
Yeah.
And now it impacts your on-time shipment or your on-time delivery to the customer. And that's it. That's what your dashboard says. It tells you the current state.
Yes.
It doesn't tell you how to fix it.
Yeah.
But now if you have an AI layer on top of it, right? The AI layer will tell you, okay, your machine has gone down. So before the operator goes in and says, okay, this is all the impact I have, AI can say, these are the 15 jobs that was scheduled that's been interrupted. This is how it's going to impact your on-time delivery. But here's my recommendation on how you can fix it.
Yeah.
And here is what I see from a root cause analysis perspective, because I've looked at all these disjointed records across the board. And when I look at the pattern, I think, typically there's just giving an example. There's a water leak, and this is what typically causes this equipment to go down.
Yeah.
It gets you the root cause analysis. It gives you a solution of how you want to fix so it's more solution oriented rather than just focusing on the problem. Yeah. So once your team sees that, hey, by using AI, they can get their work done faster, quicker, and it actually gets them closer to the solution that they're looking for, they're going to want to adopt it.
Yeah.
And this would be one of the examples I think we've had successes in the past.
Yeah.
It's a very small example.
Yeah, and I think we delivered a very similar use case. So generally the factory goes for breakdown during the weekend, and then there is a uptime when the factory then starts. So they had configured static, dynamic, and ML alerts to their machines with those IoT data. And then when the factory came up, there was an alert which said that the gearbox, oil in the gearbox is less than 65%. Right? It has to be more than 65%. And these alerts were continuously flowing in.
Right.
And then the operator actually saw that, and he went and he acted upon it.
Right.
Now, when we further had a discussion with the business, they told that had we not closed it down and worked upon that gearbox, that particular machine would have gone down.
Right.
And because of that machine going down, there would have been another 28 days which it takes to make it come up.
Right.
And you won't believe, Sudha, the amount which was calculated was $5.3 million that would have, that were saved just because of this
a very small change.
Very small change and alert which has been, because it is humanly not possible to look at hundreds of machines and then figure out once you are coming out of the downtime that everything is working fine. So I think that is what you are also saying, right? That let's start small and then slowly build upon.
I think I would summarize it into 3 bullets. You had asked me for 3 bullets. Set the right example as a leader.
Yeah.
Make sure you're not boiling the ocean.
Yeah.
You take one problem, show success, make sure you get the buy-in from your team. Last but not least, make sure that your people are part of the process. You'll go a long way if you have your team with you.
Yeah.
So I would just say that those are my top 3 focus areas anytime I implement a change like this.
Okay. And anything for our users, typically from your experience on this whole change management part, like you said that it has to be people driven, right? But more often than not, we find that people have their own tasks, right? And then when you try to bring a change, there is a lot of this friction or resistance, right? So any personal example which you would like to state that, I think that example was brilliant of cobot, right? That naming them and then making them use. Any other things because with this whole AI thing, the productivity is getting, hit because now people are able to generate a lot of things. We are working with some of the marketing companies, so images are also getting generated. But then there is, I would say, there is that friction which is happening still, right? And leaders have to play a role in removing that friction. Like you rightly said, that either there can be a top down that, hey, this is what needs to be done, or there is another where you bind people and do it. And I think in manufacturing, the second one would work more, is it?
I can give you a very simple example, and this has got nothing to do with manufacturing. So working across different countries and cultures, it's easy to not be aware that English sometimes can be a challenge in communication across globes. Right?
Yeah.
English is not the first language for a lot of different countries,
Yeah.
right? And we, in our business, work globally. So it tends to put people, it tends to make people very conscious that they're not able to communicate well. A very simple, I remember this because about several years ago, I had a colleague who would say, she would constantly say, well, my English is not that great, my English is not that great. And she would use Google Translate to type in her mother tongue, and it would give a translation, and that's what she would copy and paste in her email.
Yeah.
With AI today, one of the very simple things that you can make people feel very confident about is if they type something in what they would normally type,
Yeah.
and AI would generate a very concise communication for them, which would make them feel very confident in their
Yeah.
communication.
Yeah.
That's something that is, I would say, is a first step where you get people comfortable with the tools. They start by writing emails, then they start by analyzing spreadsheets, then they start conversing and talk about problems with AI.
Yeah.
They get very comfortable with it. But I would say that's one of the ways that you get people comfortable and get their buy-in on using AI.
That is such a brilliant idea, right? So rather than just taking away something which they are doing,
Right.
you start with, okay, write an email with, say, ChatGPT, right? Or
Yes.
translate this into this, so that they feel that AI is really helpful.
Exactly.
And then go to the other part, that
The more
okay,
complex.
more complex parts. Okay, brilliant. So in this last section, Sudha, just to surprise you, we would play a rapid fire round. Okay.
Of course.
And anything, the first thought which comes to your mind, I think that is what our viewers would like to hear. Right. Okay. So here we go. One technology or skill every manufacturing leader should learn.
I would say systems thinking. In manufacturing, systems are connected. Systems thinking, looking at the big picture, is something every leader needs to do.
So while having, like you said, MES, ERP, analytics, maybe a manufacturing, so just connecting that.
How does it all work together
Okay.
to give you what you want to drive a successful business?
Yeah.
Because ultimately it's about the business.
Business. Okay, great. One overrated AI buzzword which you feel?
AI-powered, AI-driven.
AI-powered, AI-enabled, right?
AI-enabled.
Everything is AI-powered.
Everything is AI-powered, yeah.
Okay. Factory floor or boardroom?
Factory floor.
Wow. Okay. Data or intuition?
Always data.
Data. Okay. One book every operation leader or leader should read?
I like Atomic Habits.
Atomic Habits. Okay. And then this one is more about with your manufacturing experience.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is India's biggest manufacturing opportunity?
I would say India's biggest opportunity now is the semiconductor business, because with the push and the drive from the government of India, as well as the skill that I see here, the time is ripe for semiconductor manufacturing, and I hope India will leverage that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Sudha. Thank you so much for your time. We loved hearing you, and I hope that our viewers would also love what it takes to be successful in manufacturing with AI coming in. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a great conversation.
Yeah. Thank you.